This is the Mind Body Detox podcast, where we discuss all things integrative health and wellness, interviewing folks from all over the world, sharing insights and wisdom on how to live a healthier life in mind, body, and spirit. Good evening, everyone. Integrative intuitive medium Kara Lovehart here with a live recording of the Mind Body Detox podcast. The Mind Body Detox podcast is discussing all things holistic health and wellness. And as your host, Integrative Intuitive Medium, I am here to bring the aspect of energy medicine and intuition and spirituality into the conversation. So if you are following me and you have gotten my email, thank you so much for sending in your questions. The question that I picked tonight was from Kelly, and thank you so much, Kelly, for sending that. And the question was regarding, how do I navigate online information as an energy sensitive or an empath? So whether you're an empath, you consider yourself a highly sensitive person, or just overwhelmed in general with being online or just information overload. I just thought this was such a great topic. Information overload. Let's talk about that, because there are so many aspects to this. Now, we're going to particularly talk about cyber overload today and discuss some ways that we can navigate this world that we're living in. I almost feel that the information highway, the internet, has really blossomed over the last decade to a point that it's really overwhelming. We are requested to subscribe to emails, subscribe to people, follow people, download apps. We get emails, we get spam, and it's just really overwhelming. And if you are an energy sensitive or you are an empath, being online, especially during this age of, called the age of polarization, can be really, really challenging, especially when you're trying to figure out how to navigate socializing, connecting to people, which is really why we get on social media, and not being in the line of fire when it comes to just either cyberbullying, cyber attack, just discussions that can unintentionally escalate and lead to straight up arguments. How do we navigate that? So I really love this topic because for people who I work with who are highly sensitive people, they're intuitive, they're psychic, and they're trying to learn to manage their gift, or they're just empaths. Again, this is for you guys, but it pertains to anyone. One of the main things that we struggle with is boundaries. That is why we feel so much in the first place. We sense so much. We're overloaded due to that. So I find it really important, not only for self-care as a means to really manage that, but boundaries in general. And that goes along within our personal lives and our professional lives, but also in our information lives. So that's what we're going to talk about. Information pertains to mostly stuff online we're going to talk about, but we have to think about this too. How do you navigate and organize information in your life? Let's talk about organization of bills. You get junk mail, you get phone calls and voicemails. So those are just the main, more tangible, direct ways that we get information, text messages, that type of thing. So think about how you organize that. When you get your mail for the week or for the day, what do you do with your mail? Do you organize it right away? Does it build up on a pile on your countertop or in your, wherever you put your mail? How do you organize that information? Because that's kind of how we operated before the age of information. We were really getting junk mail, more junk mail than maybe we get now. But that was really our avenue in which we would get these little energy vampires trying to sell us things or scam us or things like that. It was phone calls, and there's telemarketers and things like that still call us, but we have the boundaries now that we can set in place with our phones to screen our calls, which is really great. So we have some protection there. Mail, it's not as much of an issue, but now we're running into how do we navigate being online? So online information, let's look at that too. Navigating online information is really, I think, a privilege that we have this amazing universe. We have this extra world that we can totally immerse ourselves in. And it's very helpful to the evolution of humanity and to consciousness, because we can share information at the speed of light. We absolutely can grow and learn and use resources to better ourselves, free resources that we may not have access to 10 years ago. So it's a really amazing time for people who are, whether you're trying to learn a new hobby, or you're looking to better your skills at communication, learn a new language, connect socially, go on a dating site, meet new people, meetup.com, meet new friends, or if you're looking for a job, you're looking to move. I just love the amazing just vastness of the opportunities we have. And I know that we have in the internet world right now, especially in social media, we have a lot of just heaviness, just overwhelm. And those are the places that tend to really build up that energy. So those are the ones we'll probably be focusing on most. Email is the main form of direct communication that we get people to connect with us. And then it's social media. And of course, we always have a choice to really tap into those things. When we get overwhelmed, these are signs that I usually see with my clients, especially with information. When they're losing track of time and they're not being as productive as they want to be because they're losing track of themselves, and they're kind of disembodied down in the matrix, down the cyber rabbit hole. So that's one way that we can leak our energy. If you're an empath or a highly sensitive person out there, you completely can relate to this, because a lot of times feeling drained, feeling exhausted, feeling overextended are really common symptoms that we experience on an everyday basis. So this is one area that we can clean up. Number two, when it comes to a sign that we may be being drained by our social media accounts or by information overload, is if we constantly have the stimulation of our devices. So this could be your phone going off, vibrating. Oh, it's so funny. I just looked over at my phone and it popped up one of those notifications. So even if it's sitting on your desk right now, I'm going to take it and put it face down, right? It's just the visual stimulation. So it's constantly like this little psychic tether reaching out to you. Hey, look at me, look at me. And then we have notifications on our laptop devices as well. So that's fun. And then of course, if people have Alexas in their house, she can remind you to do things, that type of thing. So really, we're going to be moving more into this age of robots. I don't see it going anywhere soon. So we have to really learn to navigate it. So number one, if you are overwhelmed by technology as an empath, you're drained in energy just in general. You are easily distracted and lose track of time. Number two is you're easily distracted just by the items going off. And that can set your nervous system into more of a fight or flight response, which for people who are highly sensitive actually increases your sensitivity. It's putting you more on the state of alert and actually causing more issues. That's where we really can use the power of awareness to basically eliminate extra stimulation that we don't need. And then the third one is if we are being drained intuitively, psychically, empathetically, whatever you want to label it as, on the internet, is when we go on the internet, whether it's just to look at our email, maybe we're tapping into our social media accounts, or maybe we're just looking at the news. If we get on there and we're feeling drained afterwards, just for some reason, chances are we've allowed our energy to what I call leak into cyberspace. So usually this happens with some sort of emotionally charged encounter. So it could be an email that's maybe it's you're being annoyed with all these emails from a particular person, or maybe there's a sense of having to respond promptly and there can be anxiety around that. That's an emotionally charged situation that can drain your energy. Number two could just be scrolling through social media and seeing something or someone that triggers you. That can totally create an emotional response and drain your energy. And then of course, news, I mean, what news doesn't drain your energy unless you're looking at some of the positive news channels that are out there? And I encourage you to tap into those because they are available. All right. So if you are being drained, you may struggle also with headaches. It couldn't be just fatigue and overall not feeling energized, but it could just be that you are getting information overload from as far as electromagnetically. So that's another thing that is really important to really think about. When we are sitting, it's so funny. I'm sitting here and I have two screens. I have one up here, I have a monitor up here and down here. I am really being overly bombarded right now by blue light. And light frequency is, of course, I talk about color all the time, how important color is. I think light frequency is something that we don't think about. There is more awareness now with blue light blocking glasses, putting on filters for your devices, but these are things we don't actually think about that actually do affect our melatonin levels in our body. Normally, throughout the day, the sunlight rises up and over in the east and sets in the west, and the sunlight projects a little bit of a different hue as it's going up and it's in the middle of the sky and going down. I was just looking at this beautiful pink sunset and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. It's so calming, right? But the color blue is really mostly in the middle of the day. And the biggest frequency of blue that activates our pineal gland and affects melatonin production at nighttime, or affects wakefulness during the day, is during midday in the summertime. So that blue color. So when you're on your devices, you're being bombarded visually with these particular frequencies, and that can affect your natural melatonin production at night. That's why they say, after dark, turn off your devices so many hours before bed so you can sleep better. So you can just be feeling drained from not getting proper sleep or not going through the full sleep cycles because your melatonin production is being influenced by the blue light. And then there is EMFs, or electromagnetic frequencies, from cell phones, from Wi-Fi, and people who are energetically sensitive. You are the people, depending on where you are on the sensitivity scale, you can absolutely, when you're on a device too long, can start to feel it in your energy field. You can start to feel drained if you don't necessarily feel it like a magnetic pulse, or I describe it as almost like something scratching at you, like there's little particles kind of going all around you. I always imagine in Willy Wonka, the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, when they send the kid through space into the television and he's all these particles, and that's almost like what it feels like around my body if I'm around a device for too long and I don't have any electromagnetic frequency protection devices on. So there are amazing crystals out there that can be helpful and beneficial for navigating EMF frequencies. Organite's a big thing. They have grounding mats. They have all sorts of amazing technology for that. But the best thing is to, of course, limit your interaction with electromagnetic frequencies. We need to have outside time in the natural daylight. We need to be connecting with the earth and the frequency of the earth to really ground and anchor and balance our energy field so that we don't end up getting drained from these devices electromagnetically. So if you are someone that's getting overwhelmed by social media, by the internet, or anything like that, I am going to share some information that may be helpful for you. And of course, I made it super cute and I call it Tap Out. So really, this is all about learning how to have healthy information hygiene. And it's funny because we don't think about this. We think about, okay, we get up, we brush our teeth, brush our hair, groom ourselves, eat our breakfast, and we have our routines with that. But with the age of information, because it's so accessible and it's something that we don't necessarily have boundaries for or think about hygiene when it comes to information or electronic cyber hygiene, it's not something that we've actually put a lot of effort into creating a routine, creating boundaries, maybe having awareness over where we're getting lost or just losing energy or getting overstimulated. And this usually doesn't happen to people. They don't have that awareness of when to tap out until they're like struggling with chronic fatigue syndrome, or they're not sure why they're tired, or they're the people that just cannot get off their phones and they're constantly scrolling. And it's not till someone else points it out that you've been completely in the matrix and checked out from your family or your spouse or your friends that really we start to see that we need to really look at what our information hygiene looks like. Of course, this topic's so much more vast, and it applies in your physical world, like organizing your mail, your filing cabinet, your bills, your appointments, and your schedule, your calendars. Those are all wonderful, I call them Saturn things. So if you're into astrology, this is learning how to make friends with Saturn, the planet of really lessons and structure and organization. So I love that sentiment of making friends with Saturn because it can really provide a lot of balance in the rest of your life. And that's really all about boundaries. Boundaries support balance. It's really important. So information hygiene in your physical world, where the tangible pieces of paper, your mail, filing cabinets, all that. But now we're going to talk about today of course, information hygiene when it comes to online stuff. So number one, this is, of course, tapping out. So when is it good to tap out? I highly recommend if you are someone that is unable to do these things, information overload may happen to you. And you may not even be realizing that this is the issue. But these are some things to look out for. And if you don't have these in place to build your own healthy hygiene routine and ritual and structure and boundaries around the internet, I highly recommend you start doing that or implementing any of these. So I made it very simple. So we're going to talk about tapping out in general. When to tap out. When to tap out is when you are feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated, tired, fatigued, or when you're mindlessly scrolling. You've turned into a sheep. You don't even know what you're thinking about. You're just zoning out. You're checked out into the matrix. Those are the number one things to make sure that you are aware of. So if that happens, turn it off. So we need to just know when to stop. And sometimes before we can start again, we need to have our boundaries and our structure in place for going back into the matrix, so to speak. So knowing when to stop, that is looking at how much time you're spending on your phone or your devices. There are really great apps you can download that can track that, can track how long you're on different apps. I have that for my son. It's actually really helpful too for monitoring children, because it's really helpful for us as adults to learn information hygiene for ourselves, just like we teach our kids to brush their teeth and brush their hair and have that grooming and eating and taking care of themselves. It's important for us to really honor our own information hygiene and then teach it to our children. So we can do that as well, but also monitoring them with these apps. So knowing when to stop, that's really, really the T in TAP. Awareness is number B, number A, awareness. So awareness of the law of reflection is, I think is the best tool. I really do. I do think that we lose track of things in our lives that we see in the external world. We lose track of this perception that these things that trigger us in the world are really aspects of ourselves. So if you are having awareness of what I call the law of reflection, you're able to navigate platforms, people, news, and things that trigger you and really reflect and say, is this something that I have grievances with in the world that I need to forgive? Things that I need to let go of? Maybe it reminds me of someone in the past that has hurt me, or really reflecting that this is something I cannot do anything about in the world, and it's something I need to fully just allow and accept, because that really does create neutrality and takes us out of this polarization that we are really, I'd say, overwhelmed with at this time. So awareness. Also, having awareness of just basics human psychology and a manipulation, how people manipulate using human psychology is so amazing. There's, again, the free resources out there to look up on YouTube, some videos about this. I feel like these are really great foundations to learn to navigate the cyber world, because interacting with other humans and interacting with maybe different businesses or platforms that may use tools and techniques to manipulate us can be really, really helpful. Then we don't have our energy unknowingly being drained from us. So this looks like looking at platforms, how they're run, how they're set up. Really, TikTok is one that's made to keep you on there. It's an amazing, fun app. And of course, if you can have these boundaries with it, it's like an amazing tool to like laugh or learn information really quickly. But it's really using this dopamine rush that we get with, we learn something, we find something, we're looking something that's interesting, and then we're scrolling to the next video. So if we're aware of our own human psychology and others, we can navigate our own self and our own maybe routine or preferences that we may have online. Or we can be aware, of course, if other people may be manipulating us, and just how people are in groups. So especially for social media, it's really freeing to be able to understand how people react to things. So right now, just look on their social media platforms, how the most polarizing topics have the most engagement. specifically on Facebook. I think I talked about this the other night in one of the live videos I did, but specifically on Facebook, Facebook really attracts a lot of individuals who are easily manipulated by emotions, and especially emotional content that's triggering and gets people all riled up. And that really, honestly, that's you giving away your power, especially as an empath or a sensitive. You feel that. It's almost like abrasive energetically. It almost feels like attack for an emotional, empathic, or sensitive person to go online and to be in the midst of all that chaos. So I think it's really interesting to really be able to watch and see these different platforms and how different people interact. I think Reddit is another one that can be particularly toxic, but you have to see, where do different types of personalities hang out? Are you going to hang out with the really cynical people? Cool, that's your people. Find that platform that really supports that worldview. If you want to be a positive person and hang out with optimists, that's the thing for you. You got to find the platform for that. If you're really you love learning and you're really a collector of knowledge, then there's of course information and streams for that. That's what I love about the internet. And also, if you're aware of content and how content is created as well as misinformation, that's a really, really important thing too, just having awareness. But I think the number one thing about your own awareness is to ask, what do you want out of this? What do you want out of your experience? I don't think we ask that. We don't ask that because we're social creatures and we say, well, so-and-so is on this platform. Everyone's on this platform. I need to go there to connect. Well, that may not be what you want. It's just something that you've just automatically done because it's just there. I think that that's really important to remember, that what do you really want out of your internet experience? Do you want to just get on your email and connect with people directly or use text messages only? Then that's okay. If you really like the amazing memes and silly stories and maybe even the polarization and the crazy fights and arguments that go on social media, you're the person sitting back with the Michael Jackson popcorn meme, just eating your popcorn, right? If that's what you like, great. But if you know what your preferences are and what you want out of social media and the internet, you can absolutely navigate without draining your energy. Then you know what you want, what your goal is. You can get in and then say, you know what, this isn't serving what I want out of this. I'm going to leave this. So it's really helpful in that capacity. So the P in TAP, so we got TAP, turn it off. A is awareness. P is putting up boundaries. So you can get slimed when you're on social media. And as an energy sensitive, this happens when you're in a building with somebody or you're around, earthbound spirits, ghosts, things like that, just negative energy in general. Different areas of the planet have different energies. And I'm normally one that's used to navigating that. But when I got online, it's a really totally different vibe to navigating, putting up boundaries on social media. So these boundaries will start with, of course, just the black and white boundaries. Like, who are you okay with talking to? What are the group boundaries that you're involved in on a social media account? That, what are the rules, that kind of thing. But if you are not looking at the boundaries with your just physical, software, I guess you could say, of your computer, you're going to be more open almost on an energetic level as well. So this looks like pop-up blockers, downloading different software that can help protect your device from hackers and scammers and things like that. I think those are really important things that I think some people don't always think about, but energetically, what you're doing in the cyber world from a just black and white third dimensional space is really important. So where do you have firewalls up and things like that? And if you don't have a tech person, get one. That's why they're here. They're amazing. I'm really grateful I have one that lives with me. So we can really do a lot with that. So once you have that up, the physical boundaries of your time, how much you're going to spend on here, how much you're going to engage, and then you have all your other securities intact. I think it's important to kind of put on your energy protection, especially if you're an energy sensitive, an empath, or highly sensitive person. This is very, very, very important. Before you go on social media, it's really good to put on your boundaries or put on your psychic protection. And I don't like the idea of people using psychic protection as a way to get rid of negative energy. Because I think that when we judge something as negative, we charge it with more energy or more oomph, and it makes it even more powerful or potentially has power over us. So especially as empaths, we do definitely sense things that aren't for us. But I think if we have a preference and say, you know what, that's not for me, instead of labeling it, oh, that's negative or I hate that, if we can try to stay more neutral, it really does take a little bit of the energetic charge out of our interactions. So you can, of course, choose to put on psychic protection. Say you're a person that, you're all like, all right, I'm going to arm myself with God, with Jesus, with angels, with Reiki, with sage. I don't know, whatever you use for your tools. It could be a crystal. You can imagine a white light around you. I don't care what you use. But I think the intention behind how you're using it and why you're using it is really important, because depending on the intention of how you use it will create polarization or not. So if you're having this expectation that when you go online, it's going to be crazy, you're always online, you find this person triggers you, this and that, and you're going to continue to try to put on whatever white light protection or whatever it is that you're utilizing, you're gonna more likely than not still encounter those things. And you may have changed the way you're psychologically framing it, which is amazing. And you may see it as not a threat and just move on. That's great. But if you're doing it with the intention like you're going into battle, you're going to, of course, put that intention, that energy out there, that there's going to be something that will come up that will trigger you, that will annoy you, that will exhaust you, that will drain your energy further. And again, this is really why I'm talking about this, because yes, there are the ways to manage information, but as energy sensitive and a lot of the people I work with, I don't think we realize how much we're getting drained psychically from the internet. So we got putting on your white light of protection or Jesus or whatever it is that you work with, or putting on what I like to call my Teflon coat. So for me, it's like I go on the internet for specific reasons, and I like to imagine I have like silver around me so that anything that is coming at me from a way of people judge, this is the biggest thing that happens on social media is people judge you for who you are, what pictures you post, what you're doing, what you're saying. Like it is a battleground for judgment, if you want to call it that. So for me to enter into this space, it's just like, it's just like Teflon. It doesn't matter what people think. That's how they're reacting in this particular situation. And having the awareness of that law of reflection is very helpful, of course, to just give love and acceptance to people wherever they're at. But on an energetic level, I still feel judgment from others. So when I go online, it's a little overwhelming. So I can really use that as a tool to just deflect it back. And of course, then we have a lot of people who project onto me if they have their own judgments that they see. It's so funny to watch, because I do have people that project. They're like, oh my gosh, she's so and this and that, and they judge. And it's so funny because it's like, it's not getting to me. It's just going to be reflected back at them. And that energy is never fun for people to reabsorb that. So I try to send love to people in that capacity. The other thing is we need to look at organization. So we got the tap. We have turn it off, your awareness, and then putting up boundaries. Now we're going to go over the out. So out is organization, unsubscribe, and take it light. So organization, really, we talked about that, is time management. This really helps enforce your boundaries and really look at how you're using your time in all different types of ways. So what about your use of the TV, your audio use? What about reading material? So again, information overload may not be something that is big for you, but if you are someone that, okay, I get on the internet and then I also have a book I'm reading and then I have mail that I have to answer and emails, like it can be too much. So I think that we don't really have a space in which we have our information organized. For me, it's interesting. I have a daily schedule that I follow, and I'm still go with the flow a lot of times, but I have a daily schedule. I have guidelines, and not only with my diet, what I do with my activity, my physical activity, but when I answer my emails, when I get on social media, when I get off of social media, when I answer my phone calls or voicemails. And sometimes they don't happen right away. And that's okay. I think if you have a system and you have a boundary with something, unless something is an absolute emergency, you really can just follow that organization. And that really further supports the boundaries that create balance. Again, boundaries create balance. So organization, very important. How are you organized with your notifications on your social media? Do you have a million notifications? You don't have a way of just, all right, I'll go through this one, go for that one. Because that leads to the next thing is unsubscribe from people's stuff. Unfollow stuff that you're like, oh, this is great, but it's not something that's really serving you, because you can always go back and follow them again later. We are definitely not in a deficiency of information, right? It's not going to go away. So I think it's really important that I follow very few people on the internet, because I follow who I need at that time for my particular growth. And I think sometimes, of course, if people are trying to get Instagram followers, they're like, what are you talking about? You got to follow everyone so they follow you back. I'm like, No, actually, that's not how it always has to be done. I think it's about quality. My perception is about quality over quantity. So if you have a quality of interactions, a quality of space you're creating, you're setting up boundaries and really not allowing things that are going to be draining your energy or not serving you. And I think that's really helpful. So turn off those notifications, unfollow, uninstall apps if you don't use them. It's just like cleaning out your closet, your junk drawer. Like, I would say go through every month or two, and more often you clean out your junk drawer, because how quickly the information like really piles up. You got 6 more apps you installed. You're like, what is this? So go through and do a cyber detox every month or two and just unfollow stuff, turn off these notifications, unsubscribe from emails, and really just clear out based on, again, what do you want out of this? Go back to the original intention for why you're online in the first place. Is it to network for business? Is it to learn a new hobby? Is it to connect with a new crowd of people? Is it to learn a new language? Is it for healing or inspiration or inspirational quotes or things like that? Or funny videos? What is it? And you can have multiple desires and things you want out of it, but just write them down. If you write them down, put it next to your computer or put it on your screen of your phone. If you really have a hard time, say, what are the reasons why I'm here? Why do I go into the matrix? What purpose does it serve for me? It's amazing. I like to check the weather. I love the weather. The weather, inspirational quotes, email, and for my phone, my camera. Honestly, when I didn't have my phone for 3 weeks after my phone fell in the water when I was in Hawaii, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do without a phone. And really, I felt sad because I couldn't really share some information and inspirational content with you guys, but I really was just missing my podcasts and my music and my camera. So that was really, really the biggest thing I use it for. And it's really fun because it realigned me for like, what do I really want out of my cyber connections, and really reestablish my boundaries. And it's amazing how much your energy can be cleansed and just really release some of this heaviness that we carry around when we have so much of our energy being drained into the matrix. And then the last one is take it light. Take it light, y'all. Again, we got the out, we got organization, unsubscribe, and then T is take it light. The internet is now another form of entertainment. Remember that. Even the news at this point, even the news, most news channels are based out there for entertainment. They really get a rise out of people with fear a lot of time, or with, oh my gosh, someone died. Like, that really gets us, our chemicals in our bodies as human beings pumping, our blood pumping, and it really just makes them money. And it's really for entertainment. Like they really thinking about how journalists have headlines to just pull you in. It's just a whole bunch of psychic vampirism all over the place. It's rampant all over the internet. So if you can really take it light and enter into the cyber world with this perspective that this place is just a bunch of fun. All right, cool. It's really a reframing that can really take the stress out of it, of the information overload. And because it's really hard to be stressed when you're having fun. I highly recommend, if you are not offended by some vulgar humor, to listen to Bo Burnham, the comedian Bo Burnham's Welcome to the Internet song. Amazing. I was geeking out laughing at that. He's like one of my absolute favorite comedians. He's a shamanic comedian, I swear. He goes low and he goes high. So if you have any interest in him in general, he's great. But check out his song, Welcome to the Internet. It's really good. You can look it up on YouTube. But it's again, take it light. The internet is just another form of entertainment. We can't be stressed out when we're having fun. So it's really important. So here it is, tap out, turn it off, have awareness of what you're doing and why you're on there. Put up your boundaries, have organization, unsubscribe from things, unfollow, and take it light. If you can really follow all of these, or just start really looking at, where do I have some really lack of these structures set up for me, and start working on those, because I guarantee you will absolutely change your life. This is what I call a cyber detox, of looking at all these things. And once you have them in place, then you can be fine. But if you do not have these in place, tap out. Tap out if you can't turn it off. If you don't have awareness of what you're doing on the internet, if you're not able to put up boundaries with your energy or your time, or you're not able to organize things, so it's going to be information overload. Tap out if you can't unsubscribe or unfollow people. And tap out if you can't take it light. If you can't take it light and enjoy it and realize it's just a bunch of, entertainment, and it's there for your enjoyment, because I think that's really, really important. So Thank you guys so much. I really, really thank you, Kelly, for your question. So if you have any other questions about how to navigate being a highly sensitive person, intuitive development, working with mind body detox in general, with your body, with anything, as a medium and as an intuitive, I'm here to help. I think it's really important for us to learn how to navigate our energy, our personal energy during this time, because this is the time for us to really expand our consciousness. That's what's happening in the world. That's why we're starting to use more terms like bad vibes and feeling drained and energy vampires, because we're in a new paradigm of consciousness. We're easily much more affected now by energy exchanges than we were in the past. And because of that, we need to learn to navigate it. We need to learn to navigate it. Just like we take care of our physical bodies, we have routines and we have hygiene for that. We need to have energy hygiene as well. So thank you guys again for listening to the live Mind Body Detox podcast. I'm your host, Integrative Intuitive Medium, Kara Lovehart. I will share, I am about to launch next week our Mind Body Detox solo program. That's 2-week program. I'm giving this away for free if people are out there having trouble with resources. I know that there are so many people that need some sort of tool to really jumpstart their lives. And it's a really great start to really learn to navigate and manage your energy field, really detox from whatever it is you're looking to detox from, not heavy drugs and alcohol or pharmaceutical medications. Please, that's not for this program, but really starting at the root cause of your energy field. What's going on with that? And that ripples out to your food, your self-sabotage, to negativity, boundaries with other people, feeling drained, sugar addiction. It really does ripple out to all those things. So we're really working with the root cause with that. So if you're interested in that, we actually are taking applications for the 2-week program for free. And you can, of course, go onto our website and look at that information as well. And I will actually have a video that has more information about that program. So you can go onto our YouTube channel, Firefly Hollow Wellness YouTube channel, and check that out. And I know that that can give you some more information if you're interested. So this program's been really going since 2014. And we just saw so much amazing transformation, and people get what they put into it. So when they were done the program, they were like, okay, I want to keep going with it. So we, of course, revamped it and we moved it online with so much more content. And we used to just meet in person. So we are still meeting in person for the program for people who are local. If people are not local, we're doing one online for them so we can meet via Zoom face-to-face. And then the 2-week program is really for people who don't really want people to know they're trying to do a detox. They don't want to connect with other people. They want to go through the content at their own pace, solo, and not be part of a group, because group healing may not be their thing at this time. So that's why we offered that as well. I would also encourage you. I am, of course, still on Facebook. I don't like Facebook. It's not fun. It's not fun. I am on Instagram. I would encourage you guys to follow me on Instagram for the Mind by Detox Instagram, as well as Kara Lovehart and my YouTube channel. But what I'm doing is I am actually taking everything and putting it into Telegram. So if you are not familiar with Telegram, I like that because it's just one app that I can just send you all my things. You don't have to go on some sort of social media account to find stuff. Because when you go on social media, right, you actually just log in, and then you got to scroll through your notifications. You got to look at your inbox, then you scroll through your feed. It's just a lot of stuff. And for empaths, I actually set this up for the program too, for people in the Mind Body Detox program. They really didn't want to do this anymore. They didn't want to go on social media. They wanted to stay off of it, but they still wanted to connect with their community. And I think that was just really important to have that resource for them, that they don't have to go and get involved with all that. You can just go straight to the Telegram. The Telegram app, I think, is really helpful because you guys just get anything I have that I put up. I'm trying to really get resources for you guys as much as possible. So that's another way you can really stay in touch with me directly without having to get on Facebook or all those other things. Just I'll send you things directly in the Telegram app, in the Telegram channel. So that's a really nice way for you guys to tap in and get some uplifting content. Again, non-judgmental, sharing fire, say spiritual fire. I'm sharing my truth with you guys and really giving you guys some resources. But yes, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys really learned a lot, are starting to activate your own boundaries with the cyber world. Be well until next time, my friends. Thank you you for listening to the Mind Body Detox podcast. We wish you wellness and health in your mind, body, and spirit. And be well until next time, my friends.